Happy Thursday, guys, and welcome into Puck Time here on WagerTalk TV. We have some great games today on tap, including the Washington Capitals, Red Hot Capitals taking on the Colorado Avalanche. A couple more games to break down, best bets, props, promos, and much more. Of course, I'm Andrew, Bryan, and Carmine with me here to break down these games. Carm, good morning to you, man. What games did you choose for us today?
Yeah, we got a good slate of games. This is a really nice card on the ice tonight in the NHL. Boston Bruins, fresh off firing Jim Montgomery, take on the Utah Hockey Club. Then the Devils, off of 4 days of rest, take on the Carolina Hurricanes, who are on the second of a back-to-back. You are going to give us some prop plays. We're going to talk rapid revenge and whether it even exists tonight as the Avalanche take on the Washington Capitals. And joining us is Bryan Leonard, as always. We'll see if Bryan and I go mano a mano in any of these games, much like Buster and I did yesterday. It happens. Different opinions will happen on shows, but that's always a good thing. So I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to cue it up right off the bat with this Boston Bruins Utah game. Swayman, it looks like it's going to be Swayman and Vejmelka in goal. Bruins minus 170, plus 145 on Utah. The total sits here at 5.5. And Bri, before I go to you, just a couple things. We're talking about Montgomery getting canned by the Bruins. It looked like the team quit on him, whether they did or not, or they're just having a subpar season. Remains to be seen. We'll see what happens from this point forward. But I was looking at some of the coaching changes over the last few years, last 10 plus years, some of the ones that really stood out. The one last year, the Oilers start the season 3-9-1, fire Jay Woodcroft, Knobloch takes over. The team goes on a 46-18-5 run right to the Stanley Cup Finals before losing. Mixed in there was a 16-game winning streak. 2018-2019, this is one I made a lot of money off of, and I think a lot of clients did as well too. Blues fire Mike Yeo after going 7-9-3. Install Craig Berube, current coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He goes 36-16-6, and they win the Stanley Cup. And then we'll go back to 2011-12. Terry Murray, 13-12-4, gets fired. Darryl Sutter takes over. They end the season going 11-4-3, and then in only 20 games they go in the playoffs. They go 16-4 and win the cup. Those are some extremes because there's quite a few coaches who take over who don't do as well, Bryan. So does the coaching change factor in at all for you tonight or moving forward for this Boston Bruins team?
Well, the only concern is I just don't think this Boston Bruins team is as good as it's been in the past. But I will say, I'm very appreciative of Boston firing their coaches. The last coach they fired went to Vegas, and hey, Vegas won the cup. So I think there's going to be a lot of teams looking to make a change and bring him in before this season's over. He's not going to be out of a job for long, I don't think. We've got two disappointing teams getting together tonight in Beantown. We're looking at 5-on-5 expected goal share. We find Utah at 50.90, Boston 49.19. Utah's minus 13 on season-to-date goal differential, while Boston's at minus 21. That's despite Boston playing 11 of their 20 games at home. This is a team I've gone against a lot this year with success, and we'll see if that continues with the coaching change. Utah starts a 4-game Eastern road trip after dropping 2 of 3 at home, but they did so against the Hurricanes, the Golden Knights, and the Capitals. So this is a bit of a step down class for the visitor here in Utah going against this Boston team, although the Golden Knights are starting to show their true colors without their team captain, Mark Stone. But things have gotten so bad in Boston, the team changed the coaches, and now they're trying to salvage 1 game of this 3-game homestand. Now, to me, the betting value is likely on this Utah club here, but I'm not standing in the way of one of the best franchises in the NHL off of a coaching change. The line's too high for me to play Boston. That's likely the right side here, but I'm going to sit it out because I'm just not enamored with this Boston roster this season. So even though the value I think is on Utah, I am going to pass it but I believe a lot of people will be looking to ride this Boston team after the coaching change.
All right, I agree with you. I think initially you have to look at it, and anyone who watched that Bruins Columbus game, and I'm not sure how many people watched it, but I did because I had to play on the Bruins. And number one, Swayman didn't look good. The defense in front of him didn't look good at all either, and it just seemed like they say players quit on coaches. And when they do, it's tough to get them back, whether they did or didn't. I agree with you that I don't think it's going to be long before Montgomery finds himself coaching another team. It's a carousel sometimes in the NHL as far as coaches go. The fact that they played so terrible defensively and the fact that Swayman didn't look good in goal makes me want to think that it's a better defensive effort by the Bruins tonight. And that's why I'm looking at the under in this one. Utah struggled to score goals as well too at times, so we'll see. It's at 5.5. It's never going to get to 6 or 6.5. I'm going to have to take the 5.5, but I'm going to play under on this one, and then we'll see what Andrew's got to say on it. But before that, it was funny because I grabbed a quick bite to eat after yesterday's show with the guy who was our CFL insider, a good friend of ours and a good friend at WagerTalk, Rob Braley. And we're sitting there at this place called Chop Steakhouse, and there's a guy, and I look, I'm like, I go to Rob, that looks like Jim Montgomery sitting right there near the airport in Toronto. Is he coming for a job in Toronto or whatever? And we got a good kick out of it. But Rob gave me this gift. What do you guys think of this? I'm supposed to pass this on to the Prez. This here is the Toronto Maple Leafs championships over the last 5 or 6 years. It is filled with some fantastic notes, which you'll see here are just a bunch of empty pages. So with that said, Prez, if you're watching this show, and I know you're probably sleeping right now, I've got a book of empty pages for you on the Leafs championships over the last 5 or 6 seasons. Andrew, how do you want to follow that up? With an opinion on this Bruins game, or just we take another shot at Prez?
Honestly, those will never get old for me. I always find those funny. Like I've seen those with multiple examples of different people's accomplishments or teams. Every single time it makes me laugh. I find those hilarious. The only thing I feel bad for are the people that bought them or the people that had to put that book together. As Dan was saying to us behind the scenes, how many trees did we lose to just make a little practical joke there? Geez, not really an informative book by any means in that one. But, as you guys were saying, the Bruins, it's going to be a popular play. And, you look at this team, I was really intrigued, guys, by the quotes we saw in the locker room. And I'm not necessarily a huge quotes handicapper by any means, because I'm a big believer in Brian could take a quote and look at it in a different way. Carm could look at a quote and look at it a different way. That's why I'm not a huge quotes guy. But I'll tell you, like, these guys genuinely, like, some people will say they lost the room. I think these guys actually really liked Montgomery. I think they really lost. They didn't lose the room. They lost him his job is what they really did. And the crappy part about hockey is, like Carmine mentioned, is that teams often rally around. And in this instance, it's not going to be as much, okay, we got a big spark, we got a coach out and we need to kind of impress the new coach. Because the funny thing is, guys, the guy that they appointed as the interim head coach has already been working within the system. And a lot of people aren't mentioning this, but Montgomery's contract was up. So it's not like some of the instances we've seen over the past few seasons where a coach had 2 or 3 years left and then he got fired. His contract was up in the summer. So they were making this decision that way. But I always find it funny when they hire within the team already, because I think it's more so going to be disappointment. I think it's going to be more so this team, it feels guilty. Pasternak, it sounded like a funeral, guys, yesterday in the locker room. Honestly, the comments I was seeing too agreed with me. Pasternak said, we lost a great coach, a great guy, a great human being. It sounded like he was like giving a service at this guy's like last day alive here. Look, he lost his job, but I think it's because of Cam Sweeney. It's because of Neely. It's because of these guys. Or Don Sweeney. To me, the team overall has disappointed. It hasn't just been the coach, hasn't just been the star players. They overall have disappointed. But I think at this point, you look at the Utah Hockey Club, you can try and examine their team. What's been worse for them right now? Has it been their goal scoring guys or has it been their defense? And I'm going to choose their defense, and I'm going to agree with Carmine that I think the best bet in this one to make would be to try and to find a good under bet. Whether you're betting the under on the full game or you're betting the team total under for the Utah Hockey Club, I think that's the best bet to make. So, Carm, I'm right there in agreement with you on the play that you made, but I'm going to simplify it with just one team and go with Utah under 2.5 goals minus 120. I know a lot of you guys out there say that we take a lot of these team total overs. I'm not scared to jump in on a team total under sometimes. And, you know, when you get rid of your coach and it's the next game for a team, the biggest thing is effort. Honestly, it's not just about skill. It's not just about finishing plays or power play. And it's not like they weren't trying before, but there's going to be that different sense of urgency tonight. And so I'm looking for that to be reflected in their defensive play, and I believe so is Carmine. So we'll look towards the team total under for the Utah Hockey Club minus 120. Guys, if you're enjoying Puck Time this week, hopefully we're giving you guys some winners. Please smash the crap out of that like button, subscribe to our channel, and keep commenting. Keep letting us know what you're liking, what you aren't liking. If you don't like one of the plays that I give out, let me know. I don't care. It's fine. It's all engagement. Keep it respectful, keep it classy, and let us know what you like tonight, what you don't like tonight, and what your picks are. We always appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Okay, let's get to our next game. We have the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes here. This is going to be a real good game, guys. And this is a Devils team that is off a game they're going to be very disappointed in. Their effort against the Tampa Bay Lightning was shocking, and they've had quite a bit of time off. So I'm not sure if my first period theory and the system play that I've been using and a lot of people have been using is as effective in this spot just because they've had so much time to think about it. They've had so much time to kind of reflect. It's not like the first period over where the team gets to go right back the next day or 2 days later and that anger is still there. But this system has made me money this season. It's done really well for me, and I've loved playing this when it hasn't been an expensive price. And today, we're just getting minus 130 on this number for over 1.5 goals for the New Jersey Devils. The Hurricanes have been a strong first period team. They have been a fast starting team. And one thing I've noticed different for both the Hurricanes and the Jets this season, two teams known for good defensive hockey, they've both been running scores up. They've got guys like Natchez. They've got guys like Svechnikov, Aho that can certainly score. So, guys, yesterday, Carmine was Mr. First Period. Today, I'll be Mr. First Period for at least one play. Over 1.5 goals, Devils, Hurricanes in the first period. Brian, we'll go to you for your thoughts. Then we'll hit up Carmine. What do you think about this one? It should be a good one in the Metropolitan Division.
It definitely should be. We're taking a look at two teams that have done very well so far. In 5-on-5 expected goal share, Carolina is leading 60.82. New Jersey is a solid 53.04. These clubs have two of the top three records in a loaded Metropolitan Division. Carolina is plus 30 in goal differential. The Devils are plus 16, with both teams having more games played on the road than at home, which makes their numbers even better. Hurricanes enter having won 3 straight, but those wins came against a pretty good Ottawa team, but then St. Louis and Philadelphia, who have had their struggles. The Flyers' victory was last night, so it's just the second back-to-back of the season for Carolina. Last time they had the situation where they're in the second of a back-to-back, they dropped the game straight up at St. Louis. They finished the short 3-game trek at Columbus on Saturday. The Devils are well rested, having 4 days off after being shut out in Tampa Bay, as you mentioned, 4-0. They played much better on the road thus far. They're entering with a 4-3-2 record at home this season. I've handicapped hockey long enough where if I see a team that's got a terrific road record and they're struggling at home, you know they're going to be getting better as the season goes on at home, and there's some value there. New Jersey also has a bit of revenge. They've lost 4-2 in their earlier meeting in Carolina. Schedule and the situational data point to the Devils here, but that's just a lean at this current number. I would have liked to have got something a little bit better. But it's hard to go against this Carolina team. Like I said, 60.82 leading goal share on 5-on-5. Very good team. Like New Jersey, but not enough to pull the trigger on it.
All right, it's a big game. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. When you're going first period, I'm like, hopefully we're not landing on the same play, and it's not because I don't want us to land on the same play. It's just because just give different opinions or a couple different plays on a game. Like we talk about the play I had yesterday. It was the only losing play I had the whole NHL card, which was the Dallas first period minus a half. They're up 1-0. I was talking to Brian about this before the show. They're up 1-0 with 2.5 minutes left in the first period. They get a power play, and I'm like, okay, well, they at the very least, if they don't score in the power play, they're up 1-0 at the end of the first period, and I cashed that ticket. Well, lo and behold, they allow a shorthanded goal, and that's my only losing play on the day. Tough way to lose it. But Andrew, I'm looking at numbers on this one again, and I always talk about like first period money lines or first period totals. If there's something that stands out, I am always going to jump on that number until it starts to regress. And you look at these numbers with the Devils. Last year, I sounded like a broken record on this show talking about the New Jersey Devils and their first periods and how bad they were at home in the opening 20 minutes of games. Well, this year, not much has changed. 8 games on home ice, 1 win. 5 times they've trailed after 20 minutes. Twice they've been tied after 20 minutes. Carolina, 10 road games. They've been up after the first period in 7 of them, trailed in 2, and tied in 1 game. That is a very good winning percentage for the first period for the Carolina Panthers, and very good as far as units gained betting on Carolina and against the Devils. And I'm getting minus 105 here. I mentioned 4 days off for the Devils. Maybe the opening 20 minutes, it takes them a while to get their legs and get going. It's a second of a back-to-back for the Canes. I get it, but this is a very good team. Give me the Canes first period minus 105 on the 2-way money line. With that said, Andrew, you can consider that a prop play. So I'm going to toss it to you for your prop segment.
And Carm, if I can do my best Teddy impression to you, Carolina Panthers, man, you're gonna bring the Carolina Panthers up on this show? Come on,
dude.
now.
You know the funny thing is before when you were queuing up this game, I'm like, I'm glad Carolina isn't playing Florida because whenever they play, I think of the Florida Panthers when I say the Carolina Hurricanes, and it's just one of those things. It's always going to be stuck in my mind. I think I did it about 10 times last year at the very least. I called the Carolina Hurricanes the Panthers. So it's Carolina. Just call them the Canes from now on or what have you. I think everyone in our chat or everyone watching later is smart enough to know what I'm talking about right now. Or maybe I'm channeling my inner taking the Panthers plus 11 points this weekend against the Kansas City Chiefs. So who knows? Maybe that's what I'm thinking about as well, too. I got NFL on my mind. Doesn't matter. 7-2-1, 1-5-2. A lot of positive units both ways, fading one and betting on the other. So we'll see where that goes. And we'll see where you go right now with your prop plays.
Let's do it. Let's get to some props here. Just 2 props for today here, guys. And I'll just remind you at home again, that promo code week 6-9 is still available for $69. And it's a really good deal because, I'm handicapping multiple sports right now. Gonna have a big play today in the NHL. So for a full week of all sports, you get that for $30 off. Week 6-9 promo code, $69 at my profile page over at WagerTalk.com. But just 2 player props to get into. And the first one is going to be on David Perron. He is a veteran player for the Ottawa Senators. His number for his shots on goal, guys, is set at just 1.5 goals. And I love finding these guys where you can get a good number on 1.5. A lot of times you get a player at forward at 1.5. It's heavily juiced. It's very chalky play. Not this time. Minus 130 for him versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Second half of a back-to-back for the Golden Knights after losing to the Maple Leafs. That's going to be a game that's going to see a lot of pace to it, a lot of speed. And I think Perron will get to at least 2 shots on goal, as he has 2 shots on goal at least in 4 straight games. All right, so that's kind of more of a recent history type of bet. Let's look at a matchup head-to-head type of bet. Alexander Barkov over 2.5 shots on goal, -120 for the Florida Panthers against the Chicago Blackhawks. Guys, you can't really explain why, but whether it's NFL, NBA, or NHL, some players just play better against certain teams. And Barkov, in 5 of his last 6 games, has gone over 2.5 shots on goal against the Chicago Blackhawks. He's getting points. He's getting goals. Sometimes a player just has a certain team's number. They play well in a certain city. I don't know what it is, but Barkov does very well when he plays against the Chicago Blackhawks. A lot of great streaks going on today across the NHL, but some very, very chalky prices. 2 plays I found at relatively, inexpensive prices of -130 and -120. 2 shot props today with Perron and Barkov to go over their shot on goal total. So hopefully we can cash these tickets. And I think we have 2 players to be very hungry tonight in 2 very good spots. Carm, back to you for our 3rd game.
Yeah, Andrew, I was just, as you were doing that, and I was thinking about the NFL this weekend, even though we're talking NHL on this show. Someone did ask about rested versus, and Ralph gave us this. Ralph Michaels, Stat Daddy, did give us a stat for tonight's game, rest versus rust. Teams with 3 or more days rest versus an unrested opponent are 37-18, 67.3%, or plus 13 units ROI. It also, another stat, if a team is favored by -160 or more, with that stat, they are 25-4. Now, that doesn't really apply to tonight's game because the Devils are only -120, -130 in this game, but it gives you an idea of rested versus unrested early in the season. The NHL.com has a great tool. Their next gen stat tools are their, which is pretty good. Get to use, and I think it's too early in the season to have any relevant data on rest periods of 2 days or more. But as the season wears on, I think that does become an important stat as well too. All right, it is time for Bryan and I to drop the gloves and go mano a mano on this one. Colorado Avalanche, Washington Capitals. The Avalanche -120, the Washington Capitals +120. Looks like it's Thompson versus Annunen in goal. I'm going to go first on this one, Bryan, then I'm going to toss it to you. I'm looking for the rapid revenge spot. You've got Washington coming home off a very successful 3-game road trip, win all 3 games. The only thing that went wrong on that trip was obviously Ovechkin getting injured. We don't know what how long he's going to be out. It's basically day to day, week to week, but it looks like it could be a long one. I hope he comes back because the guy was on absolute fire. I think it's his best start in the NHL within the first 10 to 15 games of a season. The guy was doing great. And they beat Colorado. Annunen did not look good in that game. Georgiev is injured. They pulled Annunen in that game. They brought in Trent Miner, their emergency goalie. He didn't look very good in that game, but he's still 6-3 on the season, a 2.81 goals against average. They kicked off this 4-game road trip with a win in Philadelphia. They got out to a quick start in that one, kind of held on at the end. I think they get the rapid revenge here. They win this game before heading down to Florida for the Florida double. So I'm going to take the Avalanche -140 and then send it over to Bryan for his thoughts on this one as we drop the gloves.
Well, you mentioned Thompson. How many losses does Thompson have on the season? 1. 1 loss. That was against your favorite team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were winning that game 3-1 with, I believe, 3 minutes to go. And he gave up 2 straight goals, and then he lost in overtime. That is the only loss Thompson's had all season. Now, granted, they just played in Vegas. That was an emotional game for him. He swept Vegas. Vegas was a team he played on last year, and he said he wanted to go out and become the full-time goalie somewhere, and he's deserved it. He's played great. Big advantage in goal here for Washington. We'll take a look at the 5-on-5 expected goal share. We see Colorado at 53.16, which is pretty good. Washington 54.86. Comparing the two, we find the Capitals with a combined 34 goal advantage thus far, as the Avalanche are still underwater at -6 on the season. That's with 12 of their 19 games for Colorado being played at home. This is still not at the same Colorado team that we expect. They've had the injuries. They've had a lot of injuries the last few years. They'll be there at the end, but I don't think they're playing that well right now. The Avalanche have strung together 4 or 5 wins as of late, with a lone loss coming at home to these Capitals, 5-2, as you mentioned. Revenge game here for Colorado. Colorado had the last 2 days off after beating Philadelphia on the road on Monday. Now, Washington returns home off an impressive 3-0 road trip for Colorado, playing Colorado, Vegas, and Utah. They win by a combined 15-6 margin. Now, that's definitely not a good situation to be in, coming in off of a successful road trip, playing one of the teams that you played, especially without Ovi, who is expected to be week to week going forward. Now, that said, how can you make a team playing as well as Washington is as a home underdog here? Since 2021-2022 season, Washington is 4-13-0 without Ovechkin. Fully understand that. This is the deepest Capitals team I can remember in many years, and that goes back to when they won the championship, beating Vegas in the Golden Knights' first season. We all know the teams have success playing the first game without a major player. That's Washington. That's Marco D'Angelo's bread and butter. I think Washington comes out with a really good effort here. First game without Ovi, playing Colorado here. They may have a little bit of a letdown after that, but I like Washington here. Like I said, how do you make them as a home underdog to Colorado? What's Colorado done? I don't see it. Sure, they've got the revenge. Give me the better team playing at home.
Listen, Brian, we're on opposite ends of this. I get it. I don't think, and I think you know as well as I do that as well as Logan Thompson has played, the team in front of him scoring goals, Logan Thompson is not going to go undefeated the rest of the season. It's kind of like people saying, well, why would you bet against the Winnipeg Jets? Well, they're not going to go 82-0. They're going to get a loss. I think if there was one, and it was going to happen, it's probably in a spot like this where you're playing a Colorado team that's already been on the East Coast, having played a game, is on a bit of rest, and playing a team that's coming back from a West Coast trip. And then, not having Ovi in the lineup has to have a little bit of effect on it. The team as a whole is playing fantastic, and it's getting off to great starts as well, too. I think I mentioned the first period overs in Washington games. Andrew, has been absolutely money if you're betting them. I think at home, let's have a look at overall Washington at on the season with first period overs are 14-4 this season. You're making money if you're betting the over 1.5s at home, and they're 7-3 overall in the games, and they're 7-3 at home as well too, with the first period overs. So would that, Andrew, would that tempt you to want to put some few bucks on that first period over?
Yeah, I get it, Carm. I get it. And this Washington Capitals team has gotten off to incredibly fast starts, like you said. And Brian talking about the depth that they have, it's true. Whether it's been younger guys, whether it's been older guys. I mean, you want to know a really good example of the depth that they have? Dylan Strome might not be the most goal-scoring type of guy. His assist number in its own has gotten up to the -160s. An assist prop, for a guy like that. That's how you know how consistent he's been with distributing the puck, passing the puck around, and being a playmaker. Now, without Ovechkin, sure, it definitely does hurt this team because they've been, he was scoring so many goals. He was on pace for 63 goals. Guys, he was going to break Wayne Gretzky's record before Christmas was even here, before we even saw snow here on the East Coast. But, they still have that depth that Brian was speaking about. See, my only issue with this, and when I saw you guys send in your plays, and I think you guys would agree with me, my take on all of this stuff is that Brian's been riding the Capitals for like 2.5 weeks. You know what I mean? So, I think he has every right to be like, yeah, hell yeah, sign me up for them again as an underdog, right? I can't blame you, Brian. Like, they've made you so much cash already. Why would you go against them tonight? You know what I mean? And then for some of us that haven't been on them, it's kind of like, man, did I miss the boat? Did I already miss the party a little bit here? That's kind of how I'm feeling because, I missed the streak. They're still playing well. In fact, they're still one of the top teams in the month of November in expected goals for. But they're also a bottom 10 team in the month of November in expected goals against, giving up a lot of chances. So when you talk about rapid revenge, I'm going to isolate just the first period. And I'm going to go first period money line for the Avalanche. Shop around, guys. I am seeing some different prices out there. A little bit actually more expensive in some spots than even the full game. But when you talk about rapid revenge, rapid to me is the second the puck drops. Immediately, first period. They have a game plan. They're strategizing. They watched film on the last game. They saw what went wrong. And I think it makes matters even worse that the Avalanche didn't just lose by 1 goal, didn't just lose in overtime, didn't just lose in a shootout. They kind of got their asses kicked a little bit. They kind of got dominated. It was a hockey game, moved by one team, possession by one team. And so I feel like a lot of factors like that go into a rapid revenge spot. But, I'm going to be kind of neutral here, guys. I'm going to stay away from the full game. I'm betting the first period. I'm betting the Avalanche to win the first period. And this is the two-way line, of course. So if it does tie 1-1 or 0-0, we get our money back and we're on to the next play that we have. But first period for Colorado for me. It did work the other night, guys. Florida and Winnipeg. I did bet that Winnipeg rapid revenge spot. It was a back-to-back, I believe, or at least it was a second game in 2 days between those two teams. And it was successful. And I think, guys, it might be a good point to make as well that these rapid revenge spots, it doesn't apply for every team. I think it applies the most for elite teams, and I'll use my own favorite team as an example. If the Montreal Canadiens, lose to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and this was, Pittsburgh's not even that good this year, like they did, right? Then they played in Pittsburgh like a week and a half later. I wasn't running to the window to play Montreal because it was a revenge spot. They're still a bad team, right? It's not like, oh, it's a rapid revenge, so I got to play the team that lost. We got to pick our spots to do it, and they're an elite team, Colorado, so that's why I'm doing it. Carm, I'm sorry, man, but same thing goes for your Sabres. I'm not rushing to the window to bet them off a loss either.
Let me tell you, all I know is the Buffalo Sabres, and my clients know, went into LA last night, and I made some good points on why the Sabres would win as an underdog last night, and they got the win. The funny thing is that I didn't even watch the third period. It was tied after 2, and I was so tired. I'm like, I might actually finally get some sleep tonight. I took some NyQuil. Everyone kept saying, try some NyQuil, it'll knock you out. It actually did knock me out. And then I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I look at my phone. I'm like, oh, Sabres won 1-0. So I was pretty happy about that. We get the plus 130 win. I'm never running to the window to bet the Montreal Canadiens. I can tell you that much. Even if you guys played the Toronto Marlies, their AHL team, I am never running to the window. The only time you're going to see me running is when I know that breakfast stops at McDonald's at 11 o'clock at 10:58. I am running as fast as I can to get my double stacked egg McMuffin. But with that said, Brian, I'm going to go to you first. What do you have up at WagerTalk? And give us a show best bet.
Yeah, we've been on a really nice run. And you were speaking about Buffalo Sabres. I believe last week when I was on, you gave out the Sabres as a nice underdog, and they won that one too. So your Sabres. I got to give you credit. But yeah, we've been on a big 10-5 run in the NHL. Number 1 historically here at WagerTalk in net profit. Seeing the card very well. And one of you had mentioned you really like today's card. I do. I've got 3 plays up on the card, and we only discussed one of those so far today. And so we've got 3 plays up in the NHL. Good time to join us. We've had a lot of success in the past, starting to see the card very well. Loving this Thursday card. 3 plays up on today's card. You can get those right now up on the site. And my best bet is the game we just spoke about, and that is the Washington game. I won't go back over it again. we've hit on it pretty well here. But that's my best bet. But I do, before I forget, I was on Twitter last night, and I saw a tweet from one of our esteemed guys. I believe his name is, well, anyway, he's taller than we are. He's better looking than we are, and he has great hair. I don't remember his name, but congratulations, Andrew, on another job you're picking up. You're one of the hardest working people in this industry. I just want to congratulate you. I don't know if you've mentioned it to the public yet, but
Thanks,
it's
Bryan.
great to work with you, and you're very deserving of it. Thank you.
That means a whole lot, Bryan. It really does mean a lot from you. And I've learned a lot about NHL handicapping from you. And so I love working with you, and it really does mean a lot, all the support. And working on this PuckTime show has helped me a lot. So yeah, thehockeynews.com, actually a company out of Ontario, doing some betting and fantasy stuff with them weekly on a show called The Cheat Sheet. So Bryan, that really means a lot. I thought you were going to say Ralph. You said taller, hair. I didn't know where you were going with that, but but I really, really do appreciate that.
The minute he said hair, it ruled me out. But
Yeah.
Andrew, it's
when I said good looking, it ruled most of us out.
That's it's a great addition to the resume, man. So just keep knocking it out of the ballpark.
I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate it. And hopefully we can give out some winners on that show. And it's going to help me with my prop stuff, because we're doing a lot of fantasy stuff on that show as well, which is going to kind of make me, keep up to date, do my homework a lot more about these second, third, and fourth line players, which will definitely help with the prop stuff and help me here on PuckTime. Carm, we still have that week 69 promo code going on. It applies for you as well. But what else do you have going on for the rest of the week?
Yeah, so today I'm working on NFL card for the weekend. This is such a good weekend in the NFL, and so I'm really looking forward to it. Circa, I'm right outside that cash zone, 8-2 the last 2 weeks in Circa. A very good record in the Circa Millions. So my plays are going to be somewhat similar to my Circa plays as well, too. We'll see if we do a Let Carm Cook this weekend as well, too. NHL 3-pack is up for tonight in the NHL. 2-1 night last night. And in November, plus 33.75 units of profit in the NHL, which is number one at WagerTalk for November, 62.8%. We're going to try and keep that ball rolling with 3 wins tonight. My best bet on the show is going to be right back to that Colorado game. I'm going to lay the minus 140 with Colorado here. I just think in a rapid revenge spot with a very good Avs team that they play better in front of Annunen, because they didn't do it back in that 5-2 loss, I think it was, to the Caps. So we'll see if they can turn the tables on a very hot Washington team tonight and get the win. So it is the Caps minus 140 for me, Andrew. Give us a best bet and close it out. You're muted.
I'm fired up, guys. I got a 5% play going tonight in the NHL. Super excited. 6-1 dating back to the preseason with 5% NHL plays this year. Yes, I did actually have 2 5% plays in the NHL preseason, believe it or not. But I do have one that stuck out right away tonight in the NHL, and you get that at a great price. Or, again, guys, or that promo code week69. That promo gives you 2 5% plays, right? 2 5% plays will cover that alone in 1 week. You're going to get NBA, NFL, NHL, everything I release, week 6-9. Great promo code to use, but don't forget about that big play tonight up in the NHL. All right, my best bet for today is going to be the Lightning team total over 3.5 goals against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who rank 10th worst in the month of November in expected goals allowed. And they're fresh off a win over the Boston Bruins, a 5-1 win over the Boston Bruins. I'm not saying Columbus really has it in them to have that fat and sassy feeling we always talk about, but I don't think they're going to repeat that performance against a veteran coach, a veteran team overall, and this Tampa Bay Lightning's team speed that they have. This is, to me, a mismatch. I feel like Tampa Bay gets at least 4 goals on Columbus. I don't mind this minus 120 price by any means, and I believe they get the job done in this game. So Tampa, team total over 3.5 goals. My best bet here today on Puck Time. A lot of great stuff here, some agreements, some disagreements, and that's all good. Total, sides, props, a lot covered today here on the show. So I think I speak for Carm, I think I speak for Brian, and I'll speak for myself. Thank you all for watching. We really, really do appreciate it. Hope you guys all have a winning night in the NHL. And that's it for now. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Puck Time.